Hi, I'm Barbara Thiel, County Home Economist, Cooperative Extension Service. Today I'd like to talk about freezing. Freezing is the most popular form of food preservation, most widely used by the home gardener. Today we're going to have a little lesson in freezing carrots. One thing that we should bring out with food preservation, from garden to jar or market to freezer or jar, is very important, because the longer you keep food, the more quality you lose, and you're not going to improve your product through food preservation. So in other words, if you have something that's going to spoil, cook it before it does. It won't improve with food preservation. All right, we'll start right off by blanching these carrots. Over here I have a pan with a basket and water, and we're going to put the carrots in. We're going to shake them around so that they're even on the bottom. They're like in one layer, and we're going to steam them. There we go, there's boiling, the steam is coming. I'm going to immediately count 3 minutes. And if you're wondering, why am I blanching those carrots? You know, like I mentioned, freezing is the easiest form of food preservation, but so many times people do not want to blanch. All right, you need to blanch certain vegetables like green beans, cauliflower, carrots, corn, because you see they have enzymes in them, and the enzymes keep on ripening. And if you're a little bit confused, think of a banana. A banana's green, and then it turns yellow, and then what happens? It turns brown. So the same thing happens with these vegetables. Those enzymes keep on ripening, and on the certain ones, if you don't give them this blanching technique, what happens? They get tough, color changes, or they might get mushy. So you really need to stop the enzyme action and give them a blanch. Certain vegetables you don't have to, though, and those are like green peppers and onions. And a nice way to freeze those is simply take some foil or something like a plastic wrap little bundles real tight, and then put them in a freezer bag or freezer container. Then you can take out your little bundles that you need at a time and put them into the different dishes. Like the green peppers, you can put them on your pizza, you can put them in your chilies, spaghettis, and they're excellent. Another use of freezing is, say herbs. I know I have an herb garden. It's wonderful to have herbs. They stay so green, so fresh, like the parsley. Put those in little bundles and then freeze them. They come out so green, so flavorful on the soup. Much better than drying. All right, our 3 minutes is just about out. So what we're going to do, we're inactivating the enzymes with the steam. I'm using the steam. Let's just talk a minute. You could use a big kettle of water for your blanching too. But if you use the water, take your big container, more like the ones I use for canning, a real big container, because you need at least a gallon of water. So you get your gallon of water boiling, and then you have some type of a basket that you can take the vegetables out. It's nice to put a basket in, then take them out, and you should only put enough in there so that when the water starts boiling, you can time it. It'll start boiling right away when you put them back in, because if you put so many vegetables in your container and you have to wait several minutes for that water to start boiling, what happens? The vegetables become tough and they get waterlogged. So with the carrots, I put them in my steamer. My steamer is just a basket, and I don't know if you can see, let's tip this. I have just a layer, and they went right in, the steam came right up, they cooked just for 3 minutes, and now I'm going to put them in ice water, and I'm going to cool them down immediately. If I was doing this like I do at home from a garden, what I have is another basket, and I simply take my steamer basket, put it in another basket, put the basket in ice water, and start another one in this basket, start another steamer load. This is a steamer, and I like to use my steamer because they don't get waterlogged. The vegetables stay pretty dry, and they get like fork tender. They just get steamed a few minutes. And that will work with the other two, the other container, if you don't put too much in. So you just put the one basket load, all right? That's ice water. They're cooled down. They're nice and cool now. I'm going to shake all the water out. Aren't they pretty? Just so nice, crisp. You can freeze carrots whole, you can cut them in strips, you can do anything that you want with your imagination and make a very pretty product. All right, now that they're cut, blanched, cooled, just take a freezer container, and again, you must have a freezer weight container, not a cottage cheese carton, an oleo carton, something that is not used for freezing, because a freezer is like a dryer, and your food will just get dry, it'll get freezer burnt, so you need to have freezer weight containers. Freezer bags are great. They stack real well in a freezer, real well, so they're fine too. And you know, even though these containers might cost a little bit, you use them from year to year, so you get lots of use out of them. And then simply flatten them down, leave a little air space. Now, if this was fruit, like you say peaches, and you had a little syrup, you might want to put parchment paper over to keep the peaches in the syrup. But with the dry pack, all you have to do is seal them, make sure all the air is out. And then what do you do with all your food? Goes in the freezer, not too much that it won't freeze. Just do one freezer load at a time. But there's another step that needs to be done with all foods that you preserve. You need to put a label on with a date and what's in there. For some of these things, it's going to be hard to see when they're frozen. If you don't have a label, you don't have to go out and buy these fancy labels. Take a piece of masking tape. Simply put it on there, take a dry marker, mark on there, then you have a record of a date and a product. A year will be fine for these if they're held at 0 degrees. If not, use them, get them going so that you don't have to throw out at the end of the year, because they can turn tough. So you want to use your freezer products, you want to use them up and enjoy them. The same thing, mark on your other canned goods too. When they come out of the hot water bath, if you don't have a label, take a crayon while the jars are warm, mark on them, mark the date especially, so that you recycle all of those frozen foods. If you have any questions about freezing, of course canning too, call us at the Extension Service. All our bulletins have freezing directions, have canning directions, have recipes. And I know there's going to be lots of times when you don't want to blanch things and you'll be confused. So give us a call and we'll give you the safest methods to use, the fastest, so that they don't get waterlogged and that they taste good. There's a lot of little tricks you can use so that the vegetables come out a lot better.